everyone, my name is Millie and welcome to The Performing Arts and Me. If you don't know who I am, this September, or last September 2022 anyway, I started a course at London Studio Centre on their theatre dance degree programme on the musical theatre pathway, and from September 2021 to May 2022 I was at Bird College on their foundation course, and I make videos about the performing arts, my general life experiences and things like that, so if you're interested please do subscribe. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some advice or steps or things you might want to do when it comes to preparing songs for auditions. I'm talking about primarily for auditions for MT related courses at places like drama schools, but I guess it could be relevant if you're preparing audition songs for other things. When I was preparing for my auditions, I watched videos on YouTube, other people's videos on YouTube, and I've also had advice from other people, and I've learnt things before, during and after my audition preparation. So some of these tips might originally have come from other people. Some YouTubers that I've watched include Lucy Stewart-Adams auditioning for drama school. Now I can't remember everything that's in their videos, and so I can't say that I 100% agree with everything in their videos because I can't remember. However, you might want to go and have a look at their channels to give you some ideas of what other people have said about preparing songs for auditions. Okay, so let's get started. So after you've picked your songs, the first thing I would say that you should do is learn the songs. This kind of sounds obvious, but I thought I'd put it in there. So learn the melody, learn the lyrics. Ideally I would suggest learning it from sheet music itself or from a note bash of some kind, as if you learn it from the cast recording you might end up copying the inflections of the person who's singing their voice, but I do realise it might not be possible for everyone to learn it from sheet music or from a note bash. Okay, so the next thing on my list is to do some research. So I would suggest researching the song, the musical it's from, the storyline of the musical, who your character is, and maybe like the composers of the song, the lyricists, things like that. My next point is I would suggest working on the song technically. So if you have a singing teacher, working with them, or by yourself, like listening to the way you sound and trying out different ways of singing it, so that you can then decide what you think sounds best for the song, what's most appropriate for the style or for the type of song that the college has asked you to sing. If they've asked you to sing a legit ballad, I would suggest doing it in like a lyrical style rather than doing it like in the style of Six. So experimenting with your voice to see what makes the song sound the way that you want it to, but also bearing in mind the style of the song and the style that the college wants to hear you sing in for that particular song. My next point is to work on the acting of the song. I feel like sometimes this might be forgotten because it's a song, but you're still portraying a character through the song. So I would suggest working on the acting side of it, almost in the way that you would work on a monologue. A great tool can be monologuing, which is where you write out the lyrics of the song as if it were a monologue. So like write it out by hand, so it's in paragraphs rather than in like lines. And this can help you, like, rather than like being distracted by the arc and like the lyrical melody of the song, it can help you see like what the actual meaning of the song is. But yeah, so working on the acting of the song and what your character wants, monologuing it and building a character around the song so that you're thinking about the meaning of the song and acting it as well as the singing. Next, I would suggest choosing your outfit. I think I'm going to make another video about like clothing at drama school auditions and things like that. Yeah, I would suggest choosing your outfit that you're going to wear for your audition, just so that that's settled. Also, I would say don't forget about what shoes you're going to wear. And also my next thing is to practice in your outfit, particularly if you're going to be wearing heels in your audition. I would suggest practicing singing in heels because people say that it like affects your weight placement and affects your stability and things like that. So yeah, it's always been recommended to me that if I'm going to sing in heels for an audition, practice singing in the heels beforehand. Maybe practice in them more than once as well, just so you're comfortable in them, and maybe practice in the outfit too. You might have picked something and then realise it's actually really tight and it's affecting your ability to breathe properly and therefore affecting your ability to sing. So yeah, practicing in the outfit and the shoes that you're going to wear could be helpful. My next point is to cut your music. Now schools tended to ask for different lengths of songs, so you might need more than one cut of your song. I would suggest preparing the whole song and then preparing the individual cuts as well, because for me some of the schools did ask for the full song, but even if they didn't, I feel like it's probably best to have it prepared and have the sheet music for the full version with you, unless it's a really long song, just in case they ask to hear a bit more or a different section or something. I imagine in most cases they wouldn't, but in my opinion I think it's better to be prepared with it if you can. So yeah, working on the full song, and then for things like the acting side of the song, that might change slightly. I don't know if change slightly is the right word, because presumably it's still the same character and things, but like the journey of the song might be a bit different with your different cuts. So working on that side of things with the cuts too. And then my next point is to practice your cuts, because if you have, for example, a 1 minute cut, a 2 minute cut and the full song, that's 3 different transitions of the song. And so just making sure you're confident for when you go into different auditions. So practicing each of your cuts and the way it flows. The next thing on my list is about sheet music. So preparing your sheet music. If you have different cuts of songs, I would suggest having different copies of sheet music, that's what I'm looking for. Different copies of sheet music for each cut. Make sure you cut it in a way that is clear and prepare your sheet music. It might be that you decide to tape your sheet music, or it might be that you decide to put it in a folder so that the pianist can flick the pages, but either way, making sure that your sheet music is prepared is quite important. The final thing on my list, which you might actually want to do before you prepare your sheet music, is to check your cuts with a pianist. In fact, you might want to do it before and after you cut your sheet music. Check your cuts with a pianist, I would say, because it might be that it doesn't sound right musically and they might just be able to point that out to you. Also, when you're cutting your sheet music, just another point, I would suggest thinking about like the meaning of the song. Like, is it a good point to cut it in terms of like the narrative and the lyrics too. Also, after you've cut your sheet music and you've like arranged it, taped it or whatever, or maybe before you tape it, it might be worth just checking with the pianist that you've cut it in a way that's clear. And also then once you've finished taping it, maybe just ask a pianist to play through it. Now, I know it might be that not everyone can do this, checking it with a pianist, because you might not have a singing teacher, but don't forget that other people play the piano, so there might be a music teacher in your school that plays the piano that you could just ask them, excuse me, I've got an audition, would it be okay if you check this, just to make sure it makes sense musically. It might be that there is a pianist at your church that could check it, or I'm trying to think of other examples where there might be a pianist. You might have a relative that used to accompany choirs or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, there are other people who might be able to check your sheet music, but I do understand that not everyone necessarily has access to someone like that. In which case, I mean, I would say this for everyone anyway, but especially if you haven't managed to check your sheet music with the pianist beforehand, just taking the time to go through the sheet music with the pianist in the audition, go through the cuts, point it out, and make sure they understand what you mean by it. Also, just another tip that's come into my head is making sure you know your introduction and where you're coming in, especially if it's a cut. But yeah, just knowing at what point you come in, if there's like a long introduction or if there's a short introduction, if you've got a couple of bars or if you've maybe only got a chord, just, yeah, making sure you know what your introduction is, I think could be another thing to do when preparing your songs. Okay, so there are some tips and advice. Please feel free to take or leave as much as you like, and if some of it isn't possible for you, then please try not to panic. They're just some things that I thought you might want to do if you can. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and if it has, please do give it a like to let me know, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss my future videos, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!